Hello everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I want to thank everyone for taking any interest in the Ellen Greenberg case. I know that a lot of you on this channel follow the Dan Markel case, but I think that you might be interested in this case because it is a case of conflict of interest, and in my opinion, this is a case of definitely an injustice to the Greenberg family, and definitely a case that the public should take notice and ask some more questions. So I definitely urge you to ask questions. Also, I wanted to note that I do have permission from Gavin Fish to use the surveillance video that will show Samuel Goldberg going to the gym, and also the photograph of Camion coming to the crime scene before the EMTs arrived on scene. So I think that those are some things that I wanted to note. And also I wanted to share with you guys to definitely check out Charlie's call logs that will be coming for the Charles Adelson trial. And also moving into December, we're gonna have a case management hearing. I will definitely keep you guys posted if there's any new paperwork for that trial as well. But I kind of wanna do updates of Ellen's case as well. And it'll give you something to do this fall if you're looking for a case to get into. This is definitely one to check out. So I urge you to do so. And I will go ahead and send it to some of the backstory of the Ellen Greenberg case, along with conflicts of interest that I think are very important in this case. So thank you guys so much for taking interest, and I'm gonna go ahead and send it to that clip right now. Hello everyone. I wanted to just do this update today on the two conflicts of interest that I have seen so far in the Ellen Greenberg murder. And I am calling this a murder because that is my opinion, and I think that that is most of the opinion of the people who are following this case. I just want to give you guys a little bit of a backstory on the new news about this case. And they said the death of Ellen Greenberg, a 27-year-old teacher found dead of more than 20 stab wounds inside her Manayunk apartment, which I believe is outside of Philadelphia, in 2011, will now be reviewed by the Chester County District Attorney's Office. The Greenberg family has sought to get her blank ruling changed to homicide or undetermined. And I guess I'm going to say blank just so that YouTube does not flag me for this video. I just wanted to make this video specifically about the key players in this case, and there have been a lot of names and delays in this case and different rulings on the manner of death. So I just want to get you guys more accustomed to who the key players are in the death of Ellen Greenberg. And also wanted to note that there is a petition for Ellen that I want to add a link to in this video in the comments and in the notes, and also a GoFundMe. And if you want to take a really deep dive on this case, check out Gavin Fish True Crime. I believe he's doing the best job covering this case out of any of the channels, and he's doing a really great job on his website, gavinfish.com, where you can watch 911 calls and surveillance videos. So I have definitely been able to understand this case so much better, and with articles from the Daily Mail and 48 Hours and Philadelphia Inquirer has made things a little bit more clear, and I want to share with you guys the conclusions that I've come to and the most recent breaking news on the Ellen Greenberg case. Also, I would like to note that there has been a new complaint filed from the Greenbergs' family attorney, Joseph Pedraza, and this complaint was filed on October 26th of 2022, mostly against the coroners and the detectives who were working on Ellen's case. And I also wanted to note that I'm not trying to indict anyone, and we are just looking for justice for Ellen's family, the Greenbergs, and any family or friends or loved ones involved in this case. I also wanted to note that I am Jewish by heritage and by choice, and I've also had family in the government and politics. And I think that this state did the right thing to move the case to Chester County. And also the Greenbergs had a conflict of interest as well. And I think that all of these families would agree that it was the right thing to do to move it to Chester County. And I also wanted to note that this complaint that was filed on the 26th isn't directly about the Schwartzmans or the Goldbergs. The complaint is mostly about the coroner's office that was there at the time in 2011 in Philadelphia, which involved Dr. Osborne, Dr. Samuel Galino, and Dr. Lindsay Emery, and also the homicide department. And also wanted to note, we're not here to harass any of coroner's office, police department, or any of the family directly affected by Ellen Greenberg's death. And we just want to come to the truth and find peace for the Greenberg family and anyone else involved. So I hope that that is more clear, and hopefully we can find the right answer as far as Ellen Greenberg's manner of death. So let's just go ahead and send it to some of the backstory of Ellen Greenberg's case and also some of the conflicts of interest in this case. All right, thank you so much. I've kind of seen that there are about 2 time frames that Ellen could have been killed, or the manner of death, which I don't want to say. Her fiance, Samuel Goldberg, went to work out around 4:45 p.m. in January of 2011. There could have been 2 time frames that Ellen's death could have happened, at 4:45 p.m. or at 6:10 p.m. And those are just opinions. I kind of side with Gavin Fish according to the times that Samuel could have been in the apartment. I tend to lean towards the 4:45 p.m. time frame, but looks the way that Sam strolled out of the apartment, he looked to be cool, calm, and collected. Around 6:14 p.m., the most shocking thing is that Samuel did not call 911 first. He calls his cousin, his first cousin, Camion Schwartzman, around 6:14 p.m. And then I believe there were some missed calls from James Schwartzman, who is Camion's father. That is Samuel Goldberg's uncle. And James Schwartzman is a very renowned judge in the Philadelphia area. They are a very influential family. He is his uncle. I believe that Samuel's uncle, James Schwartzman, was just promoted to one of the most prestigious judges in the Philadelphia area. So it's definitely a conflict of interest in this case that we will go into later. All right, around 6:30 p.m., there was a 911 call that Samuel made that his fiancée Ellen had been stabbed. The EMTs and the fire department arrive around 6:36 p.m. And just as a side note, one of the most disturbing things about this case is that Ellen had a white bath towel with no blood on it, which was pristine, and which leads most people to believe that this was a stage scene. Around 6:38 p.m., Camion Schwartzman arrives on the scene, and due to phone records, it shows that Camion Schwartzman, his cousin, was called before 911, which is very suspicious, and also I believe that Camion Schwartzman is a lawyer as well. So police at the scene ruled it before the autopsy, which is very unusual, and it's pretty interesting that Camion being on the scene could have influenced the homicide agent. His name was Tim Cooney, the homicide detective on scene. I believe that they took Samuel Goldberg away in handcuffs to question him with his lawyer, who I believe was Camion, went with him to the police department. Samuel was released, and then they had the apartment professionally cleaned the next day, and they took the computers, etc. No forensic evidence was taken at the scene because it was ruled. And then I believe that the next day, Dr. Osborne, who did the autopsy, ruled it a homicide because of all of the stab wounds. And so that was written on the death certificate the day after the murder. And just as a side note, Dr. Osborne is now performing autopsies in West Palm Beach, and he was the autopsy specialist for the Parkland shooting victims. So he is very renowned in his specialty. So we will definitely believe his first findings, and I believe that he was influenced by the homicide detectives who later changed the manner of death to where Ellen did this to herself. So, which is very, very hard to believe. Moving on, I just wanted to jump into one of the conflicts of interest on Samuel Goldberg's side is that Josh Shapiro, he is the Attorney General for the state of Pennsylvania, and James Schwartzman, who is the judge and Samuel Goldberg's uncle. Josh Shapiro graduated his high school, a yeshiva high school, in 1991. James Schwartzman's daughter, Kim Schwartzman Kimmel, graduated that yeshiva school in 1988. So they went to the same yeshiva school. So Gavin Fish had discovered this conflict of interest, but just to take it a little bit further, how close James Schwartzman and Josh Shapiro's families actually are. And these are Sam's relatives, and Sam is still free. Kim Schwartzman Kimmel has made donations to Josh Shapiro's run for governor and some of his former political endeavors, such as the Attorney General of Pennsylvania, and her family, the Schwartzmans, has made lots of donations to the Shapiros, according to GavinFish.com. And also, Samuel Goldberg's dad has also made contributions to Josh Shapiro, who is up for the governor of Pennsylvania in the November 2nd election. So there's definitely a conflict of interest, and I believe there has been a lot of to do about that. And Gavin Fish has done such a great job of emailing the local news stations who've looked into it, and it is one of the conflicts of interest that has led to this case being taken to a different county. I just wanted to talk about some of the Daily Mail's findings, and just to give you an idea of some of the key players in this and why there has been so much runaround with all of the findings in this case since 2011. According to the Daily Mail, the day after Ellen's death, Assistant Philadelphia Medical Examiner Marlon Osborne began Ellen's autopsy at the city morgue. He labeled her stab wounds with the letters beginning with A, and he stopped at T. He noted 8 wounds to her chest. They ranged from punctures just 0.2 centimeters deep to the 4-inch final plunge of the still embedded knife. She had 2-inch stab wounds to her stomach and 2.5-inch long gash along her scalp, where 10 wounds from nicks to about 3 inches deep on the back of Ellen's neck. And there were 11 bruises in various stages of resolution on Ellen's right arm, abdomen, and leg. At the end of the autopsy, Osborne weighed all of his observations and reached the manner of death as homicide. Tim Cooney, homicide detective, said Ellen's death was treated as something other than murder that night for several reasons. The apartment door had been locked until broken by Goldberg. He had remained on the scene and was cooperative. There were no signs of an intruder, and the lack of defensive wounds also factored heavily in police's determination. On January 29th, 2011, police spokesperson said that despite the homicide ruling, authorities were leaning toward Ellen's case and looking into mental issues that she might have had. On March 7th of 2011, they changed it back, and I'm guessing that that's because of the police homicide detective Tim Cooney, who was on the scene with Samuel's cousin, K-Man, who is his lawyer, and with ties, speculations of ties to the state's attorney general's office. So the Greenbergs first consulted Cyril H. Wecht, a Pittsburgh area forensic pathologist, in 2012, who concluded Ellen's death was strongly suspicious of homicide. He noted concerns about the locations of the wounds, especially those wounds to the back of the neck. Dr. Wayne K. Ross, another expert the family consulted in 2017, mentions the stab wounds that penetrated the brain An injury like that, he writes, would lead Ellen to have severe pain, cranial nerve dysfunction, and traumatic brain signs, as well as numbness, tingling, and irregular heartbeat. When interviewed by the Inquirer in 2018, Dr. Lucy Rourke Adams confirmed that she did contract work for the medical examiner's office, but further investigation by the newspaper revealed there was no bill, an invoice, or reports from Rourke Adams for this case. I would conclude that I did not see the specimen in question, although there was a remote possibility that it was shown to me, she wrote the Inquirer. However, I have no recollection of such case. So, Joe Pedraza is the Greenberg's attorney who has filed 2 lawsuits and civil complaints in 2019. Pedraza says new evidence, including information from a deposition from the medical examiner's office, should be enough to change the ruling. Cyril H. Wecht, the forensic pathologist, says, I don't understand how they wrote this off as a blank. Wecht's 2012 report labeled it as strongly suspicious of homicide. Larry Krasner is the Philadelphia district attorney in 2018 of Pennsylvania and formerly represented the Greenbergs. That's Ellen's parents. And this is the second conflict of interest. And I'm sure that Ellen's parents would agree that it's definitely a conflict of interest that Larry Krasner did represent them in their quest to find justice for Ellen. So him being the Philadelphia district attorney was definitely one of the other conflict of interest that forced them to send this case to the next county over. So in 2017, Philadelphia voters elected Larry Krasner as district attorney, and he took office in January of 2018. During his first term, he supported victims, he has exonerated the innocent, and he has held police accountable, reduced future years of incarceration and supervision while helping to drop jail population. He has focused on the most serious crimes in Philadelphia while working with leaders to address the grassroots causes of violence. So in 2018, the Greenbergs contacted the DA's office to see if their old lawyer would reopen Ellen's case. Krasner referred the matter to the state attorney general's office in February 2018 to avoid the appearance of conflict of interest. And unfortunately, Josh Shapiro, being the attorney general, has definitely agreed with the police department that this was not a murder, unfortunately. And just to mention another person in this case, Philip Handlin, the security guard, who was said to have accompanied Samuel Goldberg up to the apartment, has said that he never, ever accompanied Samuel to the apartment, which is a big deal in this case, that he was not there. Let me tell you a little bit about Josh Shapiro, the Attorney General of Pennsylvania. And he is a candidate for the governor of Pennsylvania in the upcoming election in November. In January 2021, Josh was sworn for his second term as Attorney General, and he continues to stand up for Pennsylvania and take on big fights and deliver results. And just as a side note, the Attorney General's office agreed with the blank determination, but in July of 2022, the AG's office kicked the case back to Philadelphia. So let me just read that statement to you guys. And this is according to the news, ABC News 6 in Pennsylvania, and I will read that statement to you. The Office of Attorney General has referred this case back to Philadelphia District Attorney's Office. Pursuant to Pennsylvania law, our office performed an exhaustive review and conducted new forensic analysis, which has been shared to the extent permitted under Pennsylvania law. Unfortunately, after 4 years of work, new expert testimony and information has been publicly alleged but withheld from our investigators, and new accusations of a conflict of interest have been made against our office. Building public trust in the criminal justice system is a core priority for the Office of Attorney General, and a primary purpose of case conflict referrals is to help law enforcement avoid simply the appearance of a conflict, so the public has full faith in the outcome of criminal investigations. While the Office of Attorney General does not have an actual conflict in this manner, circumstances beyond our control have created the appearance of a conflict, and our involvement is no longer serving one of the primary purposes of the district attorney's original conflict referral. As a result, we believe it is in the best interest of the public for this case to be referred to another office. Therefore, we are sending this case back to the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office so that it may be referred to another county pursuant to Pennsylvania law. We wish Ellen's family nothing but the best, and our office regrets that despite our exhaustive work, our additional efforts have not brought more closure to the questions around her death. So guys, thank you so much for listening today. I hope that this sheds some light on some of the key players and also some of the updates in the Ellen Greenberg case as it has evolved over the past few years. And I hope to do more updates on this and hope for justice for Ellen's family and more updates for anyone following this case. Thank you so much for watching.